Junpei, I just heard something. It came from John's operating table. We better check it out. Oh, that's what the lid is. John? Huh? The lid on the scale. Hey, it opened. Oh, I get it. It must have opened because we matched John's weight to what's on the chart. Yeah. Way to catch up, Junpei. Jupiter key. The key from Jupiter. Why do I still have the purple liquid, though, is my current question. It says preparation room. Okay, let's prepare. Can I open this door? Hey, hold on. Junpei stopped, about to put the key in the doorknob. What's up? Where's Clover? Huh? Junpei turned around. Clover was nowhere to be seen. God damn it, where the hell did she go? Okay, just hold on a minute. I'll go get her. Skitouch. Sure thing. Junpei left Seven at the door and headed back to the operating room. He found her standing next to the operating table. She was staring at the mannequin. Hey, Clover, what's wrong? Come on, let's get out of here. She didn't respond. If she hadn't been standing up and breathing, Junpei might have thought she was dead. What are you doing? Did you want to come back here and say goodbye to John? It wasn't the best joke, but it was something, an attempt to lighten the mood. Clover didn't laugh. She stood stock still and said nothing. Hey, Clover, can you hear me? Perhaps it was something he'd said, or perhaps it was something else. Suddenly, her mouth opened and she whispered in a dry, dead voice. My brother might be dead. Huh? That's why we couldn't find him. If he's dead, I'm going to be next. Suddenly, the operating room felt very, very cold. What are you talking about? What's wrong with you? He gave her a small shake, but she still didn't respond. The silence grew heavier. Junpei, what do I want to do? I'm going to give her the 4-leaf clover. Oh yeah! He didn't know why, but suddenly Junpei remembered he'd been given earlier. He reached into his pocket and dug it out. A 4-leaf clover. Santa had given it to him in the second classroom. He held it out to Clover. Did you know that each leaf on the 4-leaf clover means something? Hope, faith, love, and luck. Take it. Use it as a good luck charm. He pressed the 4-leaf clover into her hand. Listen to me, Clover. No matter what happens, you can never lose hope. You have to remember what's most important, and that's to have faith and to have love. If you can remember all of those, that'll bring you good luck. Snake, I mean, your brother, he's not dead. He's alive, somewhere. I'm sure of it. You've just gotta believe in that. Clover stared at the 4-leaf clover in her hand. He could see tears start to form at the corners of her eyes. Thank you. Her voice was tiny and broken, and as she spoke, she started to cry. She tried to hide her tears by looking at the floor, but it did little good. She wiped away tears with the baggy arms of her jacket, but more quickly took their place. No matter how she tried, she couldn't stop crying. Her tears made small wet circles on the floor. Thank you. She said it again. Then she looked up at Junpei and seemed to choke down the last of her grief. She did her best to smile. Junpei wiped an errant tear from her cheek with his thumb and gave her the best smile he could manage. Now come on. Seven's waiting for us at the exit. But still she didn't move. Wait. Before we go, there's one thing I want to ask you. What's that? What do you think when you hear the word experiment? For a moment his mind froze. Then he came back to his senses and realized the word meant nothing to him, aside from the dictionary definition. What? Oh, huh. I guess it was just a coincidence then. I mean, that you knew about the four-leaf clover. Look, I'm sorry, I don't want to be a jerk, but you are making less than no sense right now? Oh, no, it's nothing, just forget about it. Oh, don't give me that. You really think I could just drop this? What is this experiment you were talking about? Clover looked away. The four-leaf clover was still in her hand. She stared at it for a long moment and then, finally, spoke. You promise you won't tell anyone? Cross my heart. Really? Really. I can trust you, right? Of course you can. Clover slipped the four-leaf clover into her pocket. Her eyes still red from crying, she looked up at Junpei. Okay then, I'll tell you. I'll tell you what happened on this ship 9 years ago. Wait. On this ship? Yeah, this ship. He was entirely lost. He had 1,000 questions, but it was probably best, he thought, to save them until Clover had finished. It was an experiment to test some sort of psychic thing. Something about communicating through these fields that you can't see. You know the fields she's talking about. You remember it from before. Or maybe you don't remember it yet. Fields that you can't see. He'd heard something like this before. Clover nodded. Like, think about this. She pointed at the operating table. On top of it was a somewhat mismatched medical mannequin whose parts had been swapped with another mannequin. This is John, right? But is he really John? All Junpei could think was she has finally completely lost it. Isn't this like the Locke's Socks? Or the Ship of Theseus? Junpei grew even more confused. He'd never heard of either of those things, although they sounded smart. You don't know? You haven't heard of those paradoxes? I think it should technically be parodices? Junpei shook his head. Clover laughed. Okay, well, pay attention then. This is how Locke's socks work. Let's say I've got a pair of socks. They're my favorite socks. One of them gets a hole in it. What would you do if that was your sock, Junpei? Patch it up. Well, I guess I'd patch it up. Get some cloth and close up the hole. But what if another hole opens? I'd add another patch, I suppose. What if another hole opened after that? Another patch, I guess. Well, let's say you just keep adding new patches until eventually the original cloth of the sock is totally gone. Once you get to that point, can you really say they're the same socks you started with? That's tough. Junpei crossed his arms. So that's the Locke's Socks thing. Yeah, the Ship of Theseus is a lot like it. The Ship of Theseus, if you keep fixing the damaged parts of a ship, eventually it ends up with none of the parts it started with. Can you really say that ship is the Ship of Theseus that you started with? And what if you took all the old parts from the first ship and built another one somewhere else? Then which ship is the real Ship of Theseus? The one you repaired? or the one you built with all the original parts? It was an interesting question. Clover could see Junpei was intrigued. Hey, do you think it's the same? What's the same? These guys. Is this John? Or is it Lucy now? Junpei looked at the operating table again. A mannequin full of body parts from a different body. Clover had been right. It was just like Lock Socks in the ship of Theseus. The part of the body that holds a person's identity is the head. Of course, for many hundreds of years, conventional wisdom had held that a man's identity resided in his heart, or any of a number of internal organs. John's head and heart were both his, but apart from that and a single arm, the rest of his body had once been Lucy's. Was that mannequin really John? We're just like these mannequins. She looked at Junpei again. Think about it. The cells in our body change every day. Old ones die and new ones are born. Maybe part of my arm is made of stuff from a fish I ate once. Or maybe part of your right side is made from a cow you ate. If you take it a little further, those cows and fishes are made from something else too, right? That's how we're all connected, through fields that can't be seen with the naked eye. The silence was broken by 7. Hey! Hey, what the hell's taking you two so long? 7's head appeared in the doorway. He was not happy. How long are you gonna make me wait? We don't have time to screw around. Junpei and Clover looked at each other. Clover looked at Junpei as if to say there was more she wanted to tell him. She shook her head. Whatever she had to tell him, she didn't want to tell him in front of 7. 7 seemed to catch on. Oh? What were you two doing? Was this some sort of secret meeting? No, it wasn't. We were just playing with the mannequins. Let's go, Junpei. Moving a little bit too fast to be entirely innocent, Clover headed toward the exit. 7 stared after her, then turned to Junpei with an amused expression. Playing with the mannequins, huh? Didn't know you were into that kind of thing, Junpei. You're a dick. Junpei dashed past him and traced Clover's path out the door. With a short laugh, 7 followed. They stood, looking at the door. Junpei took out the Jupiter key. Alright, I'm gonna open it now. Is that cool? You don't need to keep asking. Just do it, alright? Fine then. He slid the key into the keyhole and turned it. He felt it unlock. And the door opened with a soft, melancholy creak. Beyond it lay a simple white hallway. There was no fanfare or confetti. Obviously, there was no one there to applaud them. They simply walked through the door. That was it. Alright, let's get going. Hey man, what's up with you? You're so serious, you know? Can't you sound more happy? You know, get a little excited. Not really. Junpei turned away from 7 and took his first step down the simple white hallway. My brother might be dead. I'm going to be next. Clover had told him only a few minutes before that her brother was probably dead and she was likely to follow him. How could he pretend to be happy after hearing something like that? You found it. They left the operating room. The hallway took them around several corners and past several doors, but they were all locked. Until at last, the final door was hidden in a corner of the hall. Junpei grabbed the handle. As he made to push it open, a voice stopped him. The voice came from behind him and belonged to neither Seven nor Clover. Jumpy! He spun around. He saw someone running toward him from the other end of the hallway. There were 3 people coming toward Junpei and his companions: Santa, Lotus, and June. They pulled up short in front of Junpei, breathing hard. Whoa! The hell is this? What are you doing here? What? But we didn't... Before he could finish, Clover spoke. Hey guys, could you come take a look at this? She was standing near the end of a small hallway that branched off to the right. The rest of them ran over to her, curious as to what she'd found. There was something on the wall at the end of the hallway. A map of the ship's interior. It said C deck in the upper left corner. It was, they assumed, a map to the floor they were on. Door 7 and door 8. The map confirmed what they already knew. Both doors eventually led to the hallway where they had found themselves. In fact... Yeah, isn't that what I said? We aren't going to be split up permanently till we find door 9. We might get separated for a little while, but we'll see each other again. Otherwise, we won't be able to open door 9. That's how the nonary game works. Junpei looked at the map of the ship's interior again. Okay. As he looked more closely, his surprise and excitement gave way to weariness. One by one, the others saw what he'd seen. They moved as one for the door. He pulled the map of the ship's interior off the wall, put it in his pocket, and followed the others. The 6 of them stood in front of the door, arrayed in a semicircle. Santa stepped forward. He took hold of the door and spoke without looking back at the other 5. Ready? I'm gonna open it. Slowly, all 5 nodded their silent assent, which he couldn't see because he wasn't looking at them. With a deep breath, Santa threw open the door. I worry that it comes off like I'm being uncharitable to this game, but as previously mentioned and constantly gushed, I fucking love it. They poured through the doorway and into the room. Even without looking around, each one of them knew where they were. They were just where the map had said they would be. Same room they'd been in not so very long ago. The tremendous central hospital room with empty beds from wall to wall. I see. I believe I understand what you're saying. The 6 of you split into 2 teams and went through doors 7 and 8. You solved the puzzles in the operating room and the laboratory, and then met one another in the hallway, after opening your respective locked doors. He looked like anyone might after only just waking up, but it seemed that his brain was working as well as ever. He had managed to grasp, summarize, and understand each team's report. At any rate, I feel a bit silly for my little show of altruism. I'm sure you'll be back for me. I did hope you would come back, but I confess I didn't think you'd be back so soon. Ace shook his head with a rueful smile. Well, we saw each other again, and we ain't dead, so I'd say that's good enough. 7 smiled. Anyway, I say we get out of this creepy old place. We found the key we need. The key? Ain't that what I just said? I'm talking about the Jupiter key. We found it. In the operating room. Right, Junpei? Junpei nodded. Ah, the solar system keys. Actually, we found one in the laboratory, too. Here, the Earth key. Lotus dug out a still-warm key with an Earth symbol on it. I might lose it. It's probably better if you hold on to it. That way it won't be my fault if it gets lost. And with that, she pressed it into Junpei's hand. He felt slightly less than honored. As a group, they now had 3 keys that had not been used. the Jupiter key, which had been found in the operating room, the Saturn key card, which had been found in the kitchen, and the Earth key, which Lotus had just handed to Junpei. Junpei tucked the new keys into his pocket. June spoke up. The Jupiter key is supposed to be for the door at the end of that long, straight hallway, right?
Yeah. If the map's right, then it connects to the central staircase. Then next to the stairs.
Wait. They were the first words anyone had heard out of Clover in quite some time. Her face suggested they weren't going to be very happy words. What about door 3?
Look, you saw the map, right? It's the same as 7 and 8. It'd just lead us back to the big hospital room. There's no point to seeing what's on the other side of that door.
There is a point. At least there is for me. There were tears in her eyes, but she glared at 7 as hard as she could, just the same. She looked very much like a frightened puppy. There wasn't a man alive who could have resisted those eyes. 7 looked everywhere in the room except at Clover and muttered and coughed apologies under his breath.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Snake might be on the other side of door 3.
Clover nodded once. The next person to speak was Ace.
Very well. I'll be coming with you then. I've had a nice long rest. I think it's time I was up and about again. So, 7, you'll help me, won't you? Huh? Me?
Junpei did the calculations quickly in his head. 4 plus 1 plus 7 equals 12. 1 plus 2 equals 3. It looked like 7 was doing them too. At last, he gave up.
Damn. Well, guess that's how it's gotta be. So I'm going with you, huh?
Yes, you are.
Alright, let's get moving.
And so it was decided that Clover, Ace, and 7 would discover what lay beyond door 3.
Okay, we're heading out.
Be careful.
Whoa, didn't think I'd be hearing that from you, Lotus.
Don't let it go to your head. I'd be in trouble if the 3 of you bought it. The rest of us can't open the 9 door.
The truth comes out.
7 nodded as if this answer made much more sense and pulled the lever on the red. Tactile.
Okay. Let's go.
The door opened and Ace, Clover, and 7 jumped through it. 6, 7, 8. After exactly 9 seconds, the door closed noisily. Alright, we should get moving too.
Huh?
Get moving?
Where are we going?
Everyone except Lotus seemed rather confused. Well, it would be a waste of time to just sit around, wouldn't it? Let me explain. I get it. We're gonna see if we can get anywhere interesting with the Jupiter key. Yes. If we're lucky, we might find Snake. They were at the end of the hallway lined by individual hospital rooms. The Jupiter symbol was engraved on the keyhole. All right, Junpei. Open it, if you please. Yeah, on it. Junpei pulled the Jupiter key out of his pocket and slid it into the keyhole. He twisted. And then I made you all mad. Because I'm overwriting this save file. And I'm answering the question, would you like to quit? With my favorite answer. Yes. See you next time.